We are going to continue chapter number 6, the link layer and lanes. In last class, we had discussed MAC addressing, we have discussed ARP protocol, and we were discussing Ethernet. So we have discussed Ethernet header, bus topology, switches, and then we discussed some VLANs motivation examples. Okay, so in today's class, we are going to continue chapter number 6, VLAN motivation, VLANs, MPLS, data center networking, and then we will start physical layer protocols, physical layer working. Okay, so as we were discussing that in institution network it is like this one. Okay, there are several buildings, and each buildings they are different hosts, they are connected through switches. For example, this is one department, this is another department, this is another department, and these departments they are interconnected through a switch, and then this whole network is connected to the rest of internet through a router. Okay, so we have discussed what is the difference between switch and routers, and we were discussing the VLAN motivation. And the first, what was that, though the VLAN, though the switching, it has selective forwarding. That is, if a node wants to send a packet to this node, then the packet will be transmitted only to this node. Okay, but if a node wants to broadcast a packet, broadcast means that if a node wants to send a packet and the packet has destination MAC address FF, so in this case the switching doesn't help, because the switch will forward this packet to each and every port, so it will be transmitted into the entire network. So this means that a broadcast packet by a node, it is received by a whole network. So when a node transmits a broadcast packet, then it is received by how many nodes? This is called broadcast domain. This is called broadcast domain. So it means that here the node is transmitting a single packet, and this packet is received by all the nodes in the network. So the whole network, it becomes the single broadcast domain. And what does it mean? If other nodes want to transmit at the same time, then it will collide. It will cause packet collision. And the second reason was security, because the computer science user, it wants that the traffic of computer science should be restricted only to the computer science department, even if it is the broadcast traffic. It should not go to other departments. Okay, so the switching doesn't achieve this. Okay, so if we want to achieve, okay, so we have to use VLANs. Okay, so what we want like this one, that the broadcast traffic or this unicast traffic, even the broadcast traffic of the computer science network, it should be only contained in the computer science department. Okay, the second motivation example was that, for example, if suppose there are three departments, okay, we have, suppose the switching achieve isolation, that the isolation means that the computer science traffic, broadcast traffic, it will be contained within the computer science department if it suppose achieves isolation. But still, if we need 7 departments, for example, if we have 7 more departments, then for each department we will need a switch. Okay, because if these nodes are attached to a single switch, then they will be in the same broadcast domain. Okay, so therefore if we have multiple departments, then for each department we will need a switch. Even if in a department there are how many nodes? There are 4 nodes, and this switch, it can accommodate 96, it has 96 ports, so it can accommodate 96 hosts. Okay, but these 4 ports are used, and the rest of 92 ports, they will be wasting. Okay, so it means that it will increase the cost, it will increase the overall cost, because these in 7 department, it has less than 96 hosts, so these all hosts, they can be attached to a single switch. Okay, but we are buying 10 switches. Okay, so it means that the cost will be increased. Okay, so its manageability will be increased. Okay, so if you want to achieve this, so we can achieve it by using the VLANs. We will discuss how VLANs work. Similarly, suppose another example, suppose if the switch can achieve isolation, if the switch it can achieve isolation, that is the if the computer science department users they are connected to switches, so this traffic can be restricted to only these computer science department nodes. But if the computer science member it is residing in another department, it is suppose sitting in another department, so it will be attached to this switch. Okay, so if it is attached to this switch, then the traffic from here it will reach to all the nodes. Okay, so how we can achieve it? So for the motivation of that we discuss 1 2 3, all these problems they can be addressed by VLANs. Okay, so what is VLAN? It is called virtual local area network. Okay, and the switches supporting VLAN capabilities can be configured to define multiple VLANs over single physical LAN infrastructure. For example, this is a switch. Okay, these yellow lines they are one they are part of one VLAN. Suppose they are part of VLAN computer science. So VLAN port number 9 to 9 to 15 on this switch, they are configured to be part of computer science VLAN. And these port number 1 to 8, they are configured that these ports they belong to electrical engineering department. Okay, so we call it port based VLAN. The switch port it is configured that that this port is part of VLAN, electrical computer engineering department VLAN. Basically we have not name for VLAN, but we have a number, VLAN number, we assign VLAN number. Okay, so the switch port they can be grouped by switch management software, so that the single physical switch it can have multiple VLANs. Okay, so the VLAN it defines a broadcast domain. What does it mean? That if this node wants to transmit a broadcast packet, okay, then this broadcast packet it will be only delivered to the ports that are part of this VLAN. For example, this VLAN, this node it is part of electrical engineering VLAN. So the broadcast packet by this node it will be only delivered to the nodes, to the ports that are part of electrical engineering department VLAN. Okay, they will not be delivered to these ports, they will not be delivered to these nodes. So the VLAN it achieves it reduces the broadcast domain. If the VLANs are not configured, then if a node transmit one packet that is broadcast packet, then this broadcast packet will be received by all the ports, by all the hosts. Okay, but if they are configured VLANs, then in a node transmit a broadcast packet, when it is received under this port of the switch, then this by using the VLAN identification, VLAN ID, this switch will only deliver this broadcast packet to all the nodes that are part of this VLAN, not to the other VLANs. So the packet will not be delivered to the other VLANs. So it means that it achieves isolation. It achieves isolation. Okay, so you can see that how it works. Basically you can see that this single physical switch it is logically splitted. There are multiple switches. It is logically or virtually multiple switches. Switch 1, switch 2, and this switch 1 is isolated from this switch. That is the broadcast packet from this node it will be delivered to only these ports, not to these ports. Okay, so you can see that VLANs, by using switches on the VLANs, the switches have reduced the collision domain. Why collision domain reduced? Because when a packet is received at a switch and it is unicast, that it is for a particular user, then the switch will deliver that packet to only this user. It will not be delivered to other nodes, so the other nodes can communicate with each other. So this is called collision domain. So the switches reduce collision domain, and the VLANs on the switches it also reduce the broadcast domain. The switches, simple switches, they don't reduce the broadcast domain, but the VLANs it reduce the broadcast domain. And how it is removed? Because the ports on the switch they are configured to be part of a VLAN. Okay, so if these ports 1 to 8, they are part of electrical engineering VLAN. So the broadcast packet, when it is received on a switch, then the broadcast packet, it will be delivered to all the ports of that belong to that VLAN. Okay, so this is how it works. So the ports, they can be assigned. So it means that the port based VLAN, the VLAN, it basically provides traffic isolation. Traffic isolation. What does it mean? That the frame to and from the port 18 can only reach to port 18. That is the port, this packet, for example, if it is received broadcast packet, then it will be delivered to only these ports, not to other ports. We can also define VLANs based on MAC addresses, the host MAC addresses, okay, of endpoint rather than switch port. There are different methods to define the VLANs. So the VLAN ID, it can be assigned based on the port number, the switch port number, okay, or the MAC addresses of the host that is attached to the port, okay. So it also provides dynamic membership, okay. So if we want to move the traffic from one VLAN to another VLAN, okay, from one VLAN to another VLAN, so how we can do it? So one way is that we can use a router, okay, and the router one link is attached to the one VLAN, and another link is attached to the another VLAN, okay, port. So we can configure routers to forward the traffic from one VLAN to another VLAN, okay. So this is one way. So in this case, we will need a switch and we will need a router, okay. So it means that the switch and router, we will need two devices, separate devices. But nowadays, we in practice, the vendor sell combined switch plus router. So the switch and routing, these both capabilities, they are nowadays combined in a single box, in the single hardware. So in the single hardware, we can have the switching as well as the routing functionality. So it basically, so in practice, the vendor sell combined switches plus routers, okay. So it means that if we want to connect multiple VLANs, then we can connect it, okay, no problem, without using the external router. The router, it can be part of this switch inside, okay. So now suppose we want to connect two VLANs. For example, here you can see this is a switch, okay. Here there is two VLANs, electrical engineering and computer science. Here electrical engineering and computer science. So there are two switches, and now we want to connect this VLAN with this switch, okay, because these nodes, they want to communicate with these nodes, okay. So similarly, these nodes may want to communicate with these nodes. So if we want to connect the VLAN, electrical engineering department VLAN, on this switch to the electrical engineering department on this switch, so how we can connect it? So we can connect a port. For example, here this port, it is also configured to be part of electrical engineering, and here this port is also configured to be part of electrical engineering, and then we connect these two ports. So here the data, if it is sent, so it can be reached through this port to this switch, okay. Similarly, if you want to connect this VLAN to this VLAN on this switch to this VLAN on this switch, and we can also do in the similar way, okay. But what is disadvantage? The disadvantage is that here, if you are going to connect two VLANs on two different switches, then we need two links. Okay. So we can reduce the number of links, okay. For this purpose, we have a called trunk port, okay. Trunk port, how it works? For example, if this port, it is configured as trunk port, okay, and it is part of VLAN number 1 and VLAN number 2. That is VLAN number electrical engineering department and VLAN computer science department. So this is called trunk port, okay. And here this port, it is also called trunk port because it is configured that it is connected with the electrical engineering as well as computer science. And then we can connect these two ports by using through a link. So here we have a single link that connects the two VLANs on one switch to the two VLANs on another switch. So instead of, for example, if we had, for example, here four VLANs and four VLANs here and four VLANs here, and we want to connect them, so we will need four links. But here, if we are using the trunk port, then how many VLANs are here and how many VLANs are here. If you want to connect them, we can connect them through only single port, through only single link. Okay, so that port is called trunk port. This is called trunk port. Okay, so basically the trunk port, it carries frames between VLANs defined. Okay, between VLANs defined over multiple physical switches. For example, this port, it will be part of this electrical engineering VLAN and computer science VLAN. Here this port will also be part of this and this, and then we can connect them. So there is using trunk port protocol for communication, so it is out of scope of this book. Okay, so if you are interested, you can read it in the book. Okay, similarly, suppose if we have multiple VLANs, so we can connect them multiple VLANs over multiple switches. We can connect them through using trunk port. Okay, so trunk port carries frame between VLANs defined over multiple physical switch. Frame forwarded within VLAN between switch cannot be vanilla at 02.11 frame. We have already discussed that, because here the switches, they use VLAN ID for communication. Okay, so it means that the up to now we have discussed at 02.3 the Ethernet header. So Ethernet header, it was basically it has the header preamble, destination address, source address, type, and CRC. This was trailer. Okay, now since by introducing the VLANs, we have modified the protocol by using 802.11q. Okay, so in this protocol, the VLAN identification is added in the type message. Okay, it is here added. This q frame is added here in the Ethernet between the source address and Ethernet and type, and this header, the q header frame, it contains 2-byte tag protocol identifier. Okay, and 2-byte, there is the tag protocol identifier. Its value is 8120. Okay, and we have tag control information, the next byte, which is called VLAN ID. So here we have the VLAN ID and 3 bits priority feed, like IP type of services used. So by using the VLAN ID, it is included in the Ethernet header, and the Ethernet header, it is included. Okay, so that's why when a node want to transmit the message, so it includes the VLAN ID, that this message is from which node to which VLAN. Okay, and from which VLAN to which VLAN. Okay, so basically the VLAN ID, by using the VLAN ID in the packet header, the switch can identify that, okay, this message should be forwarded to which port. Okay, so the VLAN ID, it is basically included in the Ethernet header. Okay, so we have discussed the Ethernet. Okay, so next we are going to discuss link layer virtualization, MPLS. Okay, basically the MPLS, which is called multi-protocol label switching, its initial goal is to make the forwarding faster. So it supports high-speed IP forwarding, and how it is achieved by using the fixed length label instead of IP. That is, the forwarding is performed not based on IP, but the forwarding is performed using fixed length label. Okay, so let me discuss it through an example. For example, this is the basically a switch, MPLS switches. This one. Okay, suppose this switch, it can reach to a network A. So this switch will announce to others that this switch, for example, it will configure like in level 6. So if the packet comes with the level 6, so it will be forwarded to destination A, Y interface 0. So this switch, it will basically announce this table, this information to this switch and this switch. These are the sniper switches. So when it is forwarded to this switch, so this switch will configure it that if this switch will create a label that if the traffic comes on input, okay, on level 10, okay, so it's outgoing, so it will be forwarded to the destination A, on the interface number 1, and it label will be 6. So when it forward the message on this link, so its label will be set to 6. So when its label is 6 is set to 6, so when it is reached, so when the packet is arrived with the label 6, so it will be forwarded to A. So it is the packet for A. So that's why the forwarding by MPLS router, it is based on the labels. Okay, so each label, it assign basically a label to a destination. For example, this assigned a label, so this label is local for here, only for this switch. Similarly, this switch, when it receives this information, so this switch also create a label for this destination. Okay, and that if the packet is received with the label 10, so it will be forwarded to the destination A on the interface number 1. Okay, and when the packet is forwarded, so its label will be set to 6. Okay, similarly, this information is forwarded to R2, so R2 will also configure its own forwarding table, that when that when the packet is arrived at this switch with the label 8, so R2, it will create its own label 8. So this message will be forwarded to the destination A on the interface number 0. Okay, but its label will be set to 6. So each packet that arriving at this router, it will have the label 6. So through label 6, when a packet is arrived with the label 6, so it will be forwarded to A. So it means that these MPLS switches, they do forwarding based on the labels, not based on IP addresses. Okay, similarly, this switch also can reach to destination D. Okay, so it will create a label 12. Okay, and the outgoing label is suppose 9, and the destination is D, and its outer interface is 0. Okay, so suppose this switch also announce this information to its neighbor, so this neighbor, they will create a table. Okay, when this router can reach through this link 0 0, through link 0 it can reach to A by using this information. Okay, and similarly, so because it will not receiving from any other MPLS, so there is no N label, so it will have only out label. Okay, so out label, that when the message is received for destination A, so it will set its label to 10, and it will be forwarded to link number 0. Similarly, if the packet is received for destination D, it will create a label 12, and the packet will be forwarded to R3 on link 0. Okay, so similarly, when the R2 sends the message, so R4 also modify this in the table. So you can see that R4, it can reach to A via interface number 1, and it can reach to A via interface number 0. Okay, so this is the advantage. In the IP based forwarding, for each destination we had only one path, but here for each destination we have multiple paths. So if one path is not available, then we can use another path. Okay, and so this is the advantage. And the next advantage is that the packet on the MPLS router, they are forwarded based on labels. So labels are fixed values. Okay, so they are not variable, so its forwarding is very, very fast. Okay, so and these the R5 and R6, these are not MPLS. Okay, so you can see that basically the MPLS, it is a overlay network that interconnects the two IP networks, R5 and R6, with the A and D. A and D, they are AB networks, they are IP networks, they connect with through R5 and R6. So basically this is a overlay network. Okay, so these are MPLS based switches. So the MPLS based, they understand labels. So okay, so they do forwarding and routing based on label. Okay, so they can also understand the IP addresses. Okay, so basically the initial goal of the MPLS is the high speed forwarding. Its initial goal is high speed IP based forwarding using fixed length base. It provides fast lookup using fixed length. By using fixed length, the lookup is very fast instead of shortest path prefix matching. So the prefix matching, it is more complex, it takes longer time, but the labels, it will take less time. Okay, it basically borrows the idea from virtual circuit approach. Okay, that is, what does it mean? In the IP network, a packet can reach from on one path and the next packet can go to on another path, but in the label based switching, the packet they are forwarded on the fixed path. Okay, it can achieve. And third, but it but IP is this still keep addresses, or IP addresses are still used. Okay, they can be understandable. So basically what we do, that the MPLS, it is at the Ethernet layer. Okay, so it is outside of IP header. Okay, so in MPLS header, it consists of four fields: label, that is used that when the packet is received with a particular label, then the packet is how it should be forwarded. Okay, and these three bits, they are used for experimental purpose, and this is the flag which is set to 1, and TTL is used for time to leave. Okay, so we have discussed now how this table they are shared with each other. So basically they are using RSV protocol. Okay, so we can know that the MPLS capable routers, they support label. They are also called label switched routers. They forward the packets to outgoing interface based on only label values rather than IP address. So in the MPLS forwarding table distinct from IP forwarding. The IP forwarding is based on IP prefix matching, but the MPLS is based on labels. And how the labels are computed, how these label tables are computed, so I have explained it through an example. Okay, basically the MPLS base provides flexibility. MPLS forwarding decision can differ from those of IP. Why? Use destination and source address to route flows to same destination differently. For example, for traffic engineering, as I have explained. Okay, for example, here we can have the packet, the destination address for destination A at the router R4. We have two paths, outgoing interface 0 and outgoing interface 1. So based on the source IP address, we can forward some traffic on this path and some traffic can be forwarded on this path. So you can see that for A destination we have two paths, so it provides flexibility. So we can use for traffic engineering, for example, for load balancing. Okay, for example, half traffic is forwarded on this link and half traffic toward A is forwarded on this link. So basically in MPLS we may have multiple paths for a particular destination. Similarly, it can provide reroute flows quickly if links fail. For example, why? For example, okay, suppose this link is failed. If this link is failed, then for A we have another link, that is this path, link number 1. So we can use this path. So the backup path is already available. Okay, so we can reroute flows quickly if link fails. Pre-computed backup path, they can be useful for voice over IP. So MPLS versus this is a IP based routing forwarding. So the packet to destination, it is from source to destination, they will be for each destination we have a single path. Okay, but in the MPLS routing, the path it can be different. For example, because here at this switch we had two paths as explained in this figure. On this switches, on this R4 switches, we had two paths. So we can configure that the packet from this router, it should go to on this link, and the packet and the packet from the R5 toward A, it should go to on this path. So the packet destined for A, they are splitted over this link, and over this link. Okay, so in the MPLS, the path to destination can be based on source and MAC addresses. Okay, so basically it can provides load balancing. Okay, that half traffic it is toward the destination A for same A. Okay, so the half traffic is moved on this link and half traffic is moved on this link. So MPLS provide this kind of advantages, but in IP, for a particular destination we will have only single path. So when this router it receives the packet for IP A, so the packet will be forwarded on this path, whether it is from R5, whether it is from R6 or R5. So okay, so the IP doesn't provide this traffic engineering. Okay, but in the MPLS it provides that the traffic from R6 it can be moved on this link toward the destination A, same destination, and toward the destination A, the same destination, the traffic from R5 it can be moved on this link path. Okay, so the half traffic is moved on this path and half traffic is moved on this path. Okay, and second is that if this path is failed, for example this link is failed, then we can use this link. Okay, so first reroute pre-compute backup path routes in the case of link failure. For example, if this link is failed, then we can use this link. Okay, because the two links because the MPLS may provide multiple paths. So how this forwarding table can be configured, so I have explained to you through an example that how this can be done. Okay, so the MPLS signaling, this table information, they can be modified, they can be constructed by using or by modifying the OSPF or ISS link state flooding protocol to carry information used by MPLS routing. Okay, for example, we can use link bandwidth, amount of reserved link bandwidth. For this purpose we can use it. Okay, so I have already explained it. Okay, so the entry in the MPLS router, they use RSV, it is called traffic engineering signal protocol, to set up the MPLS forwarding at the downstream routers. Okay, so I have explained that how these tables are built up through an example. So we have discussed the MPLS. Okay, and next we are going to discuss data center networking. Okay.